There is a spot on the edge of a waterfall where the water drops 300 feet, and the only thing keeping you from going over is a small rock lip underwater. You are leaning over the very edge of Victoria Falls in a place called the Devil's Pool, and most people think this is the most dangerous swim in the world. Zimbabwe is a country that many people overlook when they think about a vacation in Africa, but that is actually a huge mistake. This place is the capital of adventure on the continent, and it offers things you simply cannot find anywhere else on Earth. From walking on foot next to lions to standing on top of ancient stone cities, there's a sense of raw energy here that feels very real. Today, we are going to look at 20 incredible things you can do in Zimbabwe that will completely change how you see this part of the world. By the time we are done, you will know exactly why this country should be at the top of your travel bucket list for next year. Let us start with the most famous site in the country, which is Victoria Falls, and it is much bigger than you probably imagine. The local people call it Mosi Oa Tunya, which means the smoke that thunders, and you can hear the roar from miles away before you even see it. The Victoria Falls Rainforest Trail is the first thing you must do, because it gives you 16 different viewpoints of the falling water. As you walk the path, the mist from the falls rises up like rain, and even on a sunny day, you will get completely soaked. It is worth renting a yellow poncho at the gate for a few dollars, because the sheer volume of water is enough to ruin your camera gear. The falls are over a mile wide, and at the height of the flood season, more than 500 million liters of water flow over every minute. If you want a real adrenaline rush, you have to try the Devil's Pool, which is only accessible during the dry months. You have to swim across a section of the Zambezi River to reach a rocky island right on the lip of the waterfall. A guide holds your ankles as you peer over the edge into the misty abyss, and it is a heart-pounding moment you will never forget. If the Devil's Pool is closed because the water is too high, they often open the Angel's Pool, which is just as beautiful and exciting. For those who prefer to stay dry but still want a thrill, the Victoria Falls Bridge offers a bungee jump that is famous worldwide. You stand on a bridge that connects Zimbabwe and Zambia and jump 111 meters toward the churning river below. The bridge itself was built in 1905, and it was the dream of Cecil Rhodes to have the spray of the falls hit the train carriages. If jumping off a bridge sounds too scary, you can try the bridge slide or the bridge swing, which are slightly less intense but still fun. Whitewater rafting on the Zambezi River is often called the best one-day rafting trip on the planet, and for good reason. You will face Class 4 and Class 5 rapids with names like the Washing Machine and Oblivion that will toss your boat like a toy. The river runs through the Batoka Gorge, and the scenery of the high basalt cliffs rising up around you is absolutely breathtaking. It is a long climb down into the gorge and a very tough climb back out at the end, so make sure you are ready for a workout. If you want to see the falls from a different perspective, you should book what they call the Flight of Angels in a helicopter. From the air, you can see the massive zigzag shape of the gorges that the river has carved over thousands and thousands of years. You might even spot elephants or hippos in the islands of the upper river as the pilot circles over the main curtain of water. The upper Zambezi is also perfect for a canoeing safari, where things are much quieter and more relaxed than the rafting below. You paddle yourself along the banks, where you might see a thirsty elephant coming down for a drink just a few meters away. Just keep an eye out for hippos, because they are the bosses of the river, and you have to give them plenty of space. Now we move away from the water and head into the wild heart of the country, starting with Hwange National Park. Hwange is the largest park in Zimbabwe, and it is roughly the size of a small country like Belgium or the state of Connecticut. It is famous for having one of the largest populations of elephants in the whole world, with over 40,000 of them living there. During the dry season, the elephants gather around the man-made waterholes, and you can sit in a hide and watch hundreds of them. The sound of their rumbling trunks and the splashing of the calves in the mud is a very peaceful and humbling experience. If you want an even more intense wildlife experience, you must visit Mana National Park in the northern part of the country. This is one of the only places in Africa where you're allowed to go on walking safaris without a vehicle to protect you. You walk through the forest of mahogany and acacia trees with a professional guide who knows how to read the behavior of animals. It is a completely different feeling to be on the same level as a lion or a buffalo, rather than looking down from a truck. The guides here are some of the best in the world, and they will teach you how to approach animals safely and with respect. Mana Pools is also famous for its elephants that have learned to stand on their hind legs to reach the high branches of trees. Seeing a 6-ton animal standing upright like a human to grab an albidopod is a sight that looks like it belongs in a movie. The Mana Pools Canoe Trail is another great option where you spend several days paddling down the river and camping on islands. You fall asleep to the sound of lions roaring in the distance and the constant grunting of hippos in the water right outside your tent. It is a very raw and honest way to see Africa, and it makes you realize how small we really are in the face of nature. While many people go to Africa for the Big Five, there is something special about tracking the endangered white rhino in Matobo National Park. Matobo is a place of massive balancing rocks and granite hills that look like they were stacked by a giant hand long ago. You can head out with a park ranger and track the rhinos on foot until you're just a few meters away from these ancient creatures. Because they are so well protected here, the rhinos are quite relaxed, and you can spend time watching them graze in the golden grass. The Matobo Hills are also a spiritual place for the local people, and they contain some of the best rock art in southern Africa. There are over 3,000 registered rock art sites where the San Bushmen painted scenes of hunting and daily life thousands of years ago. The paintings are made with natural pigments like ochre and charcoal, and they have survived the wind and rain for over 2,000 years. Looking at a painting of a giraffe or a hunter while standing in the same spot where they stood is a very powerful historical connection. If you want to go somewhere truly remote, you should head to Hwange National Park, which means the place of elephants. This park is located in the southeastern corner of the country, and it is part of a massive trans-frontier park that links with South Africa. The most iconic site in Hwange is the Chilojo Cliffs, which are massive red sandstone walls that tower over the Runda River. At sunset, the cliffs glow with a deep orange and red light that is one of the most beautiful views in all of Zimbabwe. There are very few tourists here, so you will often have the entire landscape and all the wildlife to yourself for the whole day. Matasadona National Park is another hidden gem located on the shores of Lake Kariba, where the mountains meet the water. This park was created during the filling of the lake when thousands of animals were rescued from the rising water in a mission called Operation Noah. Today, it is a rugged wilderness where you can see lions hunting along the shoreline and huge herds of buffalo grazing in the grass. It is difficult to get to, but the sense of isolation and the beauty of the drowned trees in the lake make it worth the long journey. Zimbabwe is not just about animals, though, and the Great Zimbabwe Ruins are a place that every traveler needs to visit at least once. These are the ruins of a massive stone city that was built between the 11th and 15th centuries by the Shona people. The walls were built using a dry stone technique, which means no mortar or cement was used to hold the heavy granite blocks together. The great enclosure has walls that are over 30 feet high, and it is the largest ancient structure in Africa south of the Sahara Desert. The city was once the center of a huge trading empire that dealt in gold and ivory, with people from as far away as China and Persia. Walking through the narrow stone passages makes you feel like an explorer, discovering a lost civilization in the middle of the savannah. If you like history, you should also check out the Bulawayo Railway Museum, which tells the story of how the trains changed the country. You can climb inside old steam engines and luxury carriages that were used by kings and politicians over 100 years ago. It is a nostalgic look at the era of early African travel and the engineering challenges of building a railroad across this wild terrain. For a taste of modern life, you should visit the local markets like Mbare in Harare or Makokoba in Bulawayo. These markets are loud and busy and full of energy, where you can find everything from handmade baskets to fresh tropical fruits. It is the best place to talk to local people and experience the famous Zimbabwean hospitality, which is very warm and welcoming. The eastern highlands of Zimbabwe offer a completely different experience with cool air and green mountains that look like Scotland. You can hike to the top of Mount Nyangani, which is the highest peak in the country and stands at over 2,500 meters. The weather can change very quickly up there, with thick mist rolling in, and it feels more like a mountain adventure than an African safari. Near the mountain, you will find Mutarazi Falls, which is the highest waterfall in Zimbabwe and the second highest in all of Africa. There is a skywalk and a skyline here, which is basically a suspension bridge and a zip line over a 700-meter drop. Walking across a thin bridge with the valley floor so far below you is a major test of your nerves, but the view is incredible. The Chimanimani Mountains are further south, and they are a paradise for backpackers who want to camp and hike in the wild. The mountains are made of white quartzite rock, and there are hidden waterfalls and crystal-clear pools where you can swim in the forest. There are no formal trails in many parts of the park, so you have to use a map and a compass and find your own way through the peaks. If you want something a bit more peaceful, the Buvumba Botanical Gardens offer a beautiful walk through mist-belt forests and flowers. The name Bivumba means Mountains of the Mist, and it is a place of ancient ferns and rare birds that you won't see anywhere else. Lake Kariba is the largest man-made lake in the world by volume, and a houseboat trip here is a classic Zimbabwean adventure. You can spend a few days living on a boat and watching the sunset over the water, while crocodiles and hippos swim past your deck. The lake is full of drowned leadwood trees that stick out of the water and provide a perfect perch for the iconic African fish eagle. Their haunting cry is the sound of the lake, and it is something you will hear every morning as the sun comes up over the horizon. For the fishermen out there, Lake Kariba and the Zambezi River are home to the tigerfish, which is a very aggressive predator. It has massive teeth, and it fights very hard when you hook it, so catching one is a real achievement for any serious angler. Finally, you should not miss the Chinhoyi Caves, which are located on the way from the capital city of Harare to the northern border. The main attraction is the Sleeping Pool, which is a subterranean lake with water so clear and blue that it looks like it is glowing. Divers come from all over the world to explore the deep tunnels, and the visibility underwater can be over 50 meters. Traveling in Zimbabwe is much easier than it used to be, but you still need to plan ahead and check the visa requirements for your country. The best time to see wildlife is during the dry season from June to October, when the animals gather at the waterholes. If you want to see Victoria Falls at its most powerful, you should visit between March and May when the river is full of rainwater. The people of Zimbabwe are some of the most resilient and friendly people you will ever meet, despite the challenges they have faced. They are proud of their beautiful country, and they are always happy to share their stories and their culture with visitors. When you visit Zimbabwe, you are not just going on a vacation, but you are supporting local communities and conservation efforts. The adventure here is real, and the nature is untouched, and it is a place that will stay in your heart long after you have gone home. If you enjoyed seeing these wild places, then you definitely need to watch our next video about the most hidden spots in Africa. Check our video descriptions for the best deals in hotels and accommodation, flights, attractions and tours, travel eSIMs and insurance, transfers and airport services, trains and buses, car and bike rentals, cruises, package tours,